Hello and welcome aboard WhalePod to another Genshin Impact video. I'm your Captain Whale, and today we are still standing here with our new Foxboy Tighnari in front of what is likely either the house of like the Gandharvaville village elder, or I don't know, maybe it's even the Forest Watcher sort of HQ around these parts. Tighnari's base of operations, but this is for a bit of a Tighnari review. I know this review is coming a little late, Sumeru being brand new. It was taking me longer than I expected to get a hold of the materials to build Tighnari to the point where he could be usable in a world difficulty 8 world such as my own. But we got him here, and I actually kind of like that it's going to be this review is going to be releasing after Tighnari's dedicated banner has ended, and will have not yet migrated to the standard banner, but no longer be available to wish for, because I do not want this review to encourage people to make a big mistake and wish on a banner they shouldn't be wishing on. So, do I think Tighnari is a good character? Well, that's in the thumbnail. It is not clickbait. Because, one, Tighnari will be on the standard banner eventually, and two, I have chosen to use question marks when making the thumbnail as opposed to exclamation points, meaning I am asking a question that we will answer, not declaring something empirically. Which for that, empirically, means it is provable beyond a shadow of a doubt, which exclamation marks can imply. We will show these hilly churls a bit more of who's boss while we are detailing Tighnari here. Is Tighnari a good character? I think he's pretty strong. He is unfortunately a charge shot focused main DPS character, meaning if you want to use him effectively, you kind of have to dedicate one of your team slots to a shield, which with Zhongli running on his third rerun alongside Tighnari, that is a lot lower of a standard to meet than normally, as you have Tighnari who ran alongside the best shielder. And Tighnari will be available to pull when you lose 50-50 on all future Zhongli reruns, assuming he works the same as the other 5 standard banner 5 stars, which I do believe he will. We've saved Legoff from another disaster here. Shut up already. I don't care that you're stupid. But Tighnari he is strong. He's meant to be a DPS character. He does do that well, aside from needing some form of shield or something else to make him useful. He is very good in spread teams, particularly. He's not so good for aggravate because he's better at applying spread than he is at keeping Dendro applied to enemies. I would rate him 2 out of 3 as far as strength of current Dendro characters, actually putting the Dendro Traveler above Tighnari at this point in time. Now, if this slime would just get back here, we can beat his face in. Now, Tighnari's pros is that, once again, he is the second best Dendro applicator. Kale's Dendro application is honestly terrible. I'd put her pretty close in power rankings to Amber, but this isn't about Kale, this is about Tighnari. As for a character, though, that I would be willing to lose a 50-50 to, assuming I didn't already have 4 of the 6 at Constellation 6 like I do, if I still needed constellations or still needed some of these characters, I would be very happy to lose a 50-50 to Tighnari. He's Dendro, which is currently the rarest element in the game. Oh, please! I was barely near you! I'm not gonna fight these Eremites. They need to reduce their detection range, something fierce. I thought hilly churls had insane detection ranges, but I'm just really glad so far I haven't seen that absolutely stupid A Gentleman Strikes in Broad Daylight commission here in Sumeru, because with those Eremites it would be impossible. Okay, we keep getting off track. Let's take it into the character menu here for a little bit to show off a bit more of Tighnari just in general. He definitely does have some elemental mastery scaling to his kit. His Ascension 4 passive boosts his ultimate's damage by 0.6 or 0.06% per point of elemental mastery. I have not calculated out how much elemental mastery is required to get the maximum 60%. Okay, I know that 10 is 6%. So I want to say it's 600 to get the maximum 60. No, wait, no. 10 is 6%. 20 is 12. Or I don't know. I might be doing this way wrong. No, it's like 100 might be 6%. I think it's just way too much to ever really get a cap from. And firing his... the Wreathed Arrow is the second stage charge of his charge shot, just like Ganyu's Frostflake, except whereas Ganyu explodes doing area of effect damage, his homes in on the target, on the nearest target, or the target hit by the main shot. If you miss, it goes nearest. If you hit, it goes to that same one. When you hit with that, it increases elemental mastery by 50 for 4 seconds. So he does have elemental mastery scaling. That seems to be the par for the course for Dendro. Dendro is definitely the elemental mastery element. So much so that Gilded Dreams is the better of the two new sets for him than the Dendro set. And Wanderer's Troop might be reasonable for him as well if you don't want to farm the new domain and have been fighting a lot of bosses like you will have to in order to farm his Ascension materials. Because it also has the same two-piece of plus 80 elemental mastery. Elemental mastery was a stat not really called for a lot before the release of Dendro, mainly just Animo units and maybe Kuki Shinobu that wanted it, or occasionally you'd have a elemental mastery Sands on someone like a Melt Ganyu or a Vape Hu Tao. But the fact that he uses gear that not a lot of units before Dendro wanted makes him a bit easier to build. I don't think you want triple elemental mastery. I think you want crit rate or crit damage hat, depending on what your weapon gives you, a Dendro Goblet, and then a elemental mastery Sands on him. But I do think elemental mastery gives him more unique build space and gives him less competition for artifact pieces with other potential characters. As for weapons, he doesn't really care that much about base attack, so his signature weapon Hunter's Path, being a base 542, is perfectly fine. He does care a little bit more about weapon base attack if he doesn't have Hunter's Path passive, though, to convert his elemental mastery into a Shenhe or Yunjin style buff to each hit's damage. But I would also say Aqua Simulacra, if you have one from Yelan, might be a decent fit on him because of the massive crit damage it provides him, allowing you to focus a lot more on crit chance, or crit rate as it's called in Genshin, to maximize crit rate to crit damage ratios. I don't think Polar Star is that great on him, other than for the big crit rate, pretty comparable to the Hunter's Path. Skyward Harp is probably even less useful on him, maybe because it gives crit rate and crit damage, but only then. I don't think Amos Bow fits him, due to more focus on elemental mastery than attack. Elegy for the End is good on a support of Tighnari. I don't know how easy it is for him to proc it, but the energy recharge will definitely be more than enough to get his burst back without any other investment. He has a 12-second 40 energy burst. I don't think Sacrificial Bow is all that helpful on him, as his skill cooldown is only 12 seconds. That's longer than some, but shorter than most. Particularly shorter than most other archers with similar capabilities in their kits. It's shorter, I believe, than Ganyu's Trail of the Qilin or Amber's Baron Bunny, the other taunting archers. The Stringless is a really good free-to-play option for him because of the Elemental Mastery substat playing into both of his Ascension passives. Favonius Warbow is, of course, just a decent option if you're using him for Dendro application. Like if you are just not building the Traveler on principle and want a better Dendra applicator than Kale, as it has a massive energy recharge that will ensure he pretty much always has his burst up, because once again 40 cost, and will be able to battery the rest of the team with the crit hit particle generation. I don't think Rust is very good on him because it decreases charge attack damage and he's charge attack based. Nothing more on that. Moon's Moon is average on him. His burst does hit hard, but his kit is definitely, I believe, focused more around just his charge shot. So Moon's Moon is probably a little worse than Amos Bow. As far as other free-to-play options go, I'm not going to go over like this event bow because the event is passed. If you don't have it, there's no way to get it. And I don't think it's that great on Tighnari. Once again, end of the line. If it were EM instead of energy recharge, it would be great on Tighnari, but it's energy recharge, and he isn't, I don't think, all that energy hungry. So I think the 45.9 EM it gives would be wasted. And it's more attack-based when I do believe Tighnari is more playing into the EM scaling, hence why you want an EM Sands on him rather than an attack one. And as for craftable bows, Compound Bow is physical, don't do physical Tighnari. Prototype Crescent is good on Ganyu. I think it will actually be good on Tighnari as well. Once again, with any aim shot based character, you're going for headshots, and once again are using a shielder, so you have to worry less about getting hit and going for being able to go more for headshots. Other craftables, Hamayumi increases normal attack damage by 32%, that's a waste, and charge attack damage by 24%. I do think Hamayumi was originally designed to be a free-to-play option for Yoimiya. It is, after all, her canonical weapon. Not every character's signature weapon is their canonical, after all. And it, by merit of Aloy, I hate to even really mention her. She is... why is she even in the game? Why did they feel the need to do a collaboration with Horizon? But it, ironically, due to Aloy having some similarities to Yoimiya and having a infusion state, is a pretty decent weapon on Aloy. Other options for low spenders, or even a free-to-play if you're crazy enough to use your Star Glitter on it, I do think the Blackcliff Warbow is a good investment. It is a crit damage substat weapon, so just hit your headshots and you don't have to worry about crit rate. And 24-star glitter. The passive isn't the best. Well, 24-star glitter is less than a character, so a bit easier to get than, say, oh, that Pie in the Sky, Amber, Kaya, or Lisa constellation is for a low spenders or even free-to-plays. The passives on these are not even as useless as people make it out to say. Abyss is the end-all, be-all content of Genshin Impact, and a lot of the floors do have lots of enemies to keep triggering the passive. However, it does lose value on Tighnari with him being single target and focusing down single enemies rather than going after groups. Oh, Thundering Pulse also works. It's sort of like Polar Star. I don't really feel like Tighnari needs to stack an amazing amount of attack in order to do good damage. I mean, mine only has 1220 and 33. Still hits fairly decently with his level 2 charge shots and his burst. Now, lastly, his talents. They are still tabulating statistics, but I do believe you actually want to focus normal attack, elemental skill, then elemental burst as you are able to. I have leveled up the elemental burst a bit more than the elemental skill simply because it does do more damage, and since I've already leveled up the skill sufficiently, the burst can be leveled up to get better scaling. But I do believe as a whole, since he is a charge shot based main damage dealer, you do want a good amount of investment into his normal attack and want to focus on it first. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. Level up the burst before the skill, because the one thing you really want the skill for doesn't improve as you level up, and that's the taunt effect and the yeah, it just levels up the damage. The duration doesn't improve, the cooldown doesn't release. The main thing you want it for is the giving you 3 free charge shots, and by free I mean they charge nearly instantly. It's sort of like having 3 uses of Ganyu Constellation 6, which if you know what that does, it is very good, allowing you to charge up to her highest level charge shot instantly after using her elemental skill. It basically gives you a Ganyu's Constellation 6 at C0. Just for using the elemental skill normally, you can fire off 3 shots immediately. And that, I do believe, is only due to the fact that Tighnari, once again, is a single target damage dealer, as opposed to Ganyu being able to do that 3 times per elemental skill usage at a base level is a bit, well, a bit unbalanced. I feel it's fine to have an area of effect nuke like that locked behind a Constellation 6 for its insta-charge. Now, speaking of Tighnari's constellations, this is the more important part as to why I'm posting this after Tighnari's banner has ended. I do not want to encourage some of the more incorrigible members of the Genshin Impact community to wish for constellations and potentially spend money for constellations that they'll just get over time by losing to characters they would rather have. Tighnari's charge attack crit rate is increased by 15%. This is mainly for the little shoot arrows that fire off from the main one on his level 2, as if you're doing the charge shot character main thing correctly and hitting your headshots. Those are guaranteed crits, but I do believe the shafts it fires off will not be crits. With this, the bow, and just other crit rate from my Tighnari's gear, his charge shots on my build have roughly 86% crit rate. That's pretty darn good. I don't have 2 onward, Constellation 2, when their opponents within the field created by his E, Tighnari will gain 20% Dendro damage bonus. The effect will last up to 6 seconds if the field's duration ends, or if it no longer has opponents within it. This, I feel like, is diminishing returns, as you're going to want a Dendro Goblet on Tighnari, and Tighnari ascends with Dendro damage, and I feel like elemental damage starts to fall off in returns when you get over, when you get to right around and over 100%, which I believe my Dendro damage Goblet, although it's not quite leveled up, I believe Tighnari will be somewhere around that already, with a level 90 and a plus 25-star Dendro Goblet, as well as, if you are running Tighnari on the Dendro set Deepwood Memories, you will have even more Dendro damage, making this constellation even more of a victim to the diminishing returns. Still a good constellation, even can help make it so you can extra just focus more on the Elemental Mastery set Gilded Dreams if you do get Constellation 2 ever. Fortune's Red amongst the branches is simple, does plus 3 scaling to his burst. Once again, I did take back my original assessment of normal attack skill burst to be normal attack burst skill for his level up. So the fact that he gets his burst at Constellation 3 is welcome. Withering Glimpsed in the Leaves, when the ultimate is unleashed, all nearby party members gain 60 elemental mastery for 8 seconds. If the Fashioner's Tanglevine Shaft triggers a Burning Bloom Quicken or Spread reaction, their elemental mastery will be further increased by 60. This latter case will also refresh the buff state's duration. A decent constellation. I don't think it's anything too world-shaking. That tends to be the par for the course, though, of Constellation 4s these days, though. The good ones tend to be, at least on the limited ones, at 2 and 6. Occasionally you get a really good Constellation 1. But with Tighnari being a standard banner character, I don't expect it to be too much flashier than someone like Diluc or Kaching's constellations, and we all know Kaching. Maybe they've improved with the rest of Kaching's kit since the introduction of Dendro, but Kaching does have some of the worst 5-star constellations in the game. Comprehension Amidst the Flowers, this has plus 3 levels to his elemental skill. That'll just boost how much damage it does. And Karma Adjudged from the Leaden Fruit, his Constellation 6. The Wreath Arrow, his level 2 charge shots. Charge time is increased by 0.9 seconds and will produce 1 additional Cluster Bloom Arrow, those little shafts, upon hit. This arrow will deal 150% of Tighnari's attack as damage. Which, yeah, that's pretty no, that's more than the Cluster Bloom Arrow. I can even see, yeah, that's about, yeah, more than double the normal cluster bloom arrow damage. So all in all, pretty decent, as it reduces the charge time by 0.9 seconds, and produces one additional arrow that deals the damage of slightly more than 2 arrows, even when at talent rank 10. With that, that has been my review of Tighnari. All in all, I do think he's a good character. He definitely was not worth pulling for on his own dedicated banner, unless, like me, you were going for completion and did not want to have a blank spot in your Pokedex until you happened to stumble into a Tighnari pull. However,
don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, in this case, do be afraid to make the mistake that I made of, and the reason why I'm releasing this is so you won't make that mistake because of my recommendation. He is a good pull if you get him losing your 50-50. I would not be sad about getting a Dendro character when going for another character anyway. He does do good damage. I'm sure I could get better damage if mine were actually, you know, leveled up properly, had good artifacts, was crowned on its normal attack. All these things I'm not gonna do. Oh yeah, there's an example. These things only last 12 seconds. They last 4 seconds after the field dissipates. And they let you fire off 3 very quickly. But all in all, good unit. Was he worth pulling for on his banner? I only did it because of Pokedex completion. I hope you guys didn't. I hope you guys aren't as sad now should you lose 50-50 to him in the future. And this has been your Captain Whale. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and sub to the channel. All 3 of those help me out immeasurably and cost you nothing but a moment of your time. I hope you all are having fantastic days, WhalePod, but until next time, this is goodbye.